Hello and welcome back to the Plant Fueled Femme, everyone. Today I have a guest with us, Alexis McLaughlin. Alexis is a long-term client and a very avid figure competitor. We've been building and competing for several years now, and I have Alexis on just to kind of talk about what our 2025 seasons look like. So welcome, Alexis.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I think this will be a great conversation. So, why don't we dive into people think of prep and they like immediately think that you're going to, go through 16 weeks and build all this muscle and lose all this fat. But I think they don't understand like what the back work looks like. And
Mm,
maybe we could start with that.
sure. So when you say back work, like the whole year prior to,
Yeah,
like I was
exactly, exactly. And because that builds realistic expectations, right?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Um, oh my goodness. So when did we compete prior to that? I think it was November
Hmm.
2023.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then and then we took like a full year before even considering going into prep again. Um, you're not building muscle while you're in a caloric deficit to get ready to go on stage. You've got to put in the work, the time, the consistency, the lifts. You've got to put all of that work in before you even consider getting on stage. It takes a lot of time.
Right, right. And I think that's something like totally worth exploring a little bit because so often I see people, they just blow their off season. And I think you could bring a much more competitive physique to the stage if you took your off season seriously. Like, yes, we are still tracking macros. Yes, we are hitting our lifts. Yes, we are going to freaking failure. And we're still really, truly prioritizing recovery because even though we're able to eat more, there still is a huge recovery aspect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you see it a lot with, I want to say like the maybe more of like the social media influencer type people.
Mhm.
I see
Oh,
two
yes.
different types of competitors that I follow a lot. And there's one I think that they just want to be lean all year round and like very lean, not like normal person lean, but like shredded lean. You're not building muscle when you're shredded lean. It's not happening. And then you see the off-season competitors, and I absolutely love when the more muscular women post these pictures and they've got some body fat to them. And
Mhm.
maybe you don't see all of the lines, but that's a very realistic expectation of what your off season should look like. You're not always going to be the most comfortable. You're going to carry around a little bit more body fat, but that's what you need for the recovery and the hormone health and what it takes to actually build and put muscle on so your body can do that.
Right. No, that's so true. And I think it's important to note like sometimes women have like this unrealistic idealization, whatever, of like, oh, I build muscle so easily. It's not freaking true. It is not true. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have PCOS. You do not build muscle easily. The only way you're going to build muscle easily is if you are on several different steroids or a whole bunch of different pets. And even then, if your training is not on point and if you're still not recovering, you're still not going to build muscle easily because we don't have the genetic makeup to do so.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, even if you are on all of those things, but your diet, like you just said, your diet, your
Yes.
training, it's not there. You're not pushing yourself to failure. You don't know how to push yourself to failure. Why are you even doing all of those other things?
Right. Ooh, hey, that's an interesting we could take a look at. So going to failure, I think that's somewhere so many women don't go. In fact, I was just talking with someone this morning and she's 48, so she's my age. And she's like, I'm lifting heavy 6 days a week. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're just not, you can't
Right.
because we don't have that recovery aspect at all. And we have less recovery aspect even than you do. So if we're lifting heavy, but not hitting that failure or near failure range, we're wasting a lot of time and doing a lot of junk volume, and we're truly not lifting to what our potential could be.
Absolutely. It's a mindset shift. I think
Yes.
you have to understand and feel safe with hitting failure. Like anytime I get on like a new machine, I try to, okay, what's the bottom out position? So if I get stuck, and I've got to
Right.
roll out of this machine. Where is that end range? And feeling safe getting to that point. And that's really hard, I think, for a lot of people. But I think especially as women,
Hmm.
we tend to not want to get bulky. It's like you're not going to get bulky. I promise. Like you're not. If we would all get bulky, there would be way more women bodybuilders and giant people.
True.
That's just not going to happen. But it's allowing yourself to get comfortable. And I love, I absolutely love when I get on a machine or set up for a lift and I hit failure to the point where I'm like, I can't push this any harder, and I bottom out
Mhm.
because that was a successful set and I feel good in
Right.
that.
Yes. Yes. And that's where that magic happens. And if we're not lifting that heavy, we're not going to see that true potential in our physique.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely. And
consequently,
safety.
exactly. And that is consequently why I put machine programming in, because it is safer. I don't want you failing on a barbell back squat. That's not necessarily safe.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
want you failing, on military press. That's not safe. But if we can load up a machine and be in a much safer position with our body.
absolutely. Absolutely. My favorites are when I'm on the pendulum squat and I hit the bottom and I just can't get out. And I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'm going to duck and roll out of here. And then I'm going to have to ask somebody to help me lift the machine up because I can't get it up by myself. That's an awesome workout. I felt really good in that. I enjoy those moments, and I think maybe people think that that's failure is bad, and it's like, well,
Mhm.
that's your goal is to grow. Like, that's good.
Right. Right. And with that type of training comes a really heavy recovery need. And if we're
Mm,
not managing that, we start to create, a ton of oxidative stress inside the body. And then we start to see trickle down problems in hormones and thyroid and gut and all
yep,
of these places that we don't want to have problems.
absolutely, absolutely. Which is why I've absolutely loved. We added yoga in. I think it was like
Yes.
partway through prep.
Mhm.
We added in hot yoga, and it's one of the things I look forward to in the week because it is not just great recovery for my body because I was a dancer when I was younger, so I just love like a stretch kind of a class, but it's just really calming for just like my nervous system. It gets me out of my head. It puts me in such a wonderful mood. Um, I think if you didn't put that in as programming, I wouldn't go do it, but it's like on
Mhm.
my to-do list. So it's like, okay, I will do it. I'll do it on Wednesdays. That's the day I go and I do my yoga and I get it done. I absolutely love it. So it's like finding those little pieces that you enjoy
Mhm.
that help you recover is really key.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think if we have, set up a successful program where you're getting enough food, we have that adequate recovery going in, your sleep is good, then it
Mhm.
puts us in a really good position to enter a cut. And I think, having all those pieces together for you is really, well, it's truly why we never have to add a ton of cardio. Like
Mhm.
so many women are doing an hour of cardio. An hour of cardio is pretty standard, and that has a potential. I mean, even if you're just walking for a full hour every day, has a potential to really drive up that cortisol again, which is very catabolic, and then we end up getting on stage not looking the way that we thought we would look.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I've always loved that. I don't have a lot of cardio to do, so thank you.
Yeah, no, and that goes to you just really prioritizing the off season. And again, that's where so many people screw up. If you're not taking it seriously, really building up metabolic capacity and really dialing in the recovery, your prep is just going to be that much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do that. We eat a lot of food in the off season and prioritize recovery. And then you have, well, I'm not going to say it's an easy prep, but it is an easier prep than a lot of the stories we hear about.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this last prep, so this was my third prep.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we hit some roadblocks, but from
Yeah.
a how do I feel about it and just like my mental clarity, how my body felt, this was the smoothest one for me, I think. I didn't really hit any like real, I don't want to say it was easy, but I didn't hit any real hard blocks until like the very end where I was
Right.
like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. But it took a really long time to get to that point. And I think we had like, I mean, we had a little bit of a roadblock in the beginning, with like
Mhm.
hormone impacts and some
Yeah.
wonky stuff. But once that went away, like the progress was all there. It was just kind of being hidden. But I think we had a pretty successful prep.
No, I think we did too. And yeah, we did. It was hardest right in the beginning. And I was like, do we continue? And I mean, your calories were still pretty high and we weren't doing anything crazy with cardio. So I felt we were pretty safe to address the hormone issue and try to get that leveled out. And then to whatever was going on with your gut, we ran that SIBO protocol. I think if we hadn't done that, I think the end of your prep would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the end of this prep, like when I compare to my 2023 prep, that's where I just started to develop like leaky gut, all of the stress on my body where I have gut issues as it is. Where I don't have a gallbladder, so that's just perpetual issues with digestion for forever. Um, but that just became so difficult towards the end of that prep where I like constantly had a distended stomach. It was
Mhm.
really hard to hold it in on stage. I hated every single one of my stage photos from that year because I just had such a really difficult time controlling my stomach. It was awful. Didn't have that this year. So definitely correcting all of those things and then just keeping a better handle on the stress management and all of that throughout this prep. I didn't have that problem. So it's very good.
Yes. Yeah, it did. It made it a lot smoother. And I'm like, generally you're not supposed to run a gut protocol when you're in the middle of prep, but in your case, we had calories so high still. I think that's truly the only reason it worked. And we weren't doing a ton of cardio,
Yeah.
which again just goes back to all of that work you did in the off season. Because if you hadn't have done that and we're playing makeup and we're like, oh damn, we have to go to like 1,800 calories right away, and it's 5 days of cardio. Yeah,
That
no,
would
we
suck.
wouldn't. Yeah, then we would just add stress of adding a protocol in, and it probably would have backfired. But
Probably.
yeah, so good job on the off season.
Thanks, coach.
Yeah. So that did make prep easier, but when we originally made plans for competing this year, you had like 6 shows on your list. I don't know. It was a lot.
I had a lot of shows on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
like
had big plans.
you did. And as a natural competitor, I was so worried about you, and you're a woman, and so it's just competing is so much harder on our systems than it is on a male system. There's so much more, variables that we have. And so we were going into that, and I knew we like made up this list of things to start looking for if we, felt like things were getting too stressful in your body, and you kept responding really well. Like the scale kept going down, body fat
Mhm.
was going down. You stayed pretty darn strong until like the last 3 weeks, I think. But that last show, I think it was you taking that week off. After you went and like totally just won the whole conqueror. Um,
Yeah, yeah. After that, I took kind of took a week off. We
Mhm.
did the OCB Conquer was May 10th, which was also Mother's Day and my husband's birthday. So because we had to fly out for that show. So from there, we took not even like a full week. I think we took like 4 or 5 days of like a Disney vacation because that's like our like happy place. Just to take like let's just chill. We weren't going to do anything like crazy. Let's just like get away and have fun as a family and then come back. So kind of taking that time off. And then what I'll describe as like I think my hormones just completely crashed.
Mhm.
Um, and that was like a couple of weeks later though. It was like I think the very beginning of June. But I really struggled coming out of it because or coming out of that show because then the plan was okay, well, we'll go do the Yorton, and that was 16 weeks away. And
Right.
then you kind of get into this I can't really reverse. What am I doing? And then I don't have a show coming up in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. So I've struggled a lot with trying to keep my eating under control and like feeling hungry again.
Mhm.
And so that period of time, I think, was the hardest for me of just feeling good in my skin and just feeling good in general and then just being in a good place. And then I messaged you freaking out because all of a sudden my hair started to fall out really bad.
Mhm.
And that's where I say like my hormones crashed because I had like a very serious kind of like come to Jesus moment with my husband. We were sitting down and it was like putting all of the stress on my body, but then also identifying all of the other areas where my hormones were really going wonky, but I'm just now seeing it in that, like, oh my God, my hair is falling out. Um, and then kind of just took that this or made that decision of, okay, the health is more important. We need to pull back. So didn't move forward with any of the other shows. And being that I'm 39, and you probably would have told me I was perimenopausal from the time you and I started working together 4 years ago. I never would have admitted that maybe until about a year ago of like, okay, maybe that's like a thing. Um, but just seeing like in that moment, sitting down with my husband and like talking about all of this stuff, reflecting back on like a couple of years, it's like you start to get these like little symptoms, and then it's like, okay, well, this is an annoying thing. I'll take this and I'll deal with it.
Mhm.
And then this is an annoying thing. I'll take this and I'll deal with it. And you try to fix all of the little things instead of like zooming out and recognizing this is all like the same thing. I have a laundry list of symptoms. Um, I just decided that, okay, I need to focus on my health. Let's finally get on some HRT and not all of the supplements to try to fix it. And actually, just focus on getting better. And so did that. So pulled out of any of the other shows, put on some healthy body fat, and I've gotten on a whole lot of different HR, just different hormones. So now I'm technically no longer natural. So that was a really hard decision for me to make. Um, like I agonized over that because the last 4 years I've competed naturally, and now if I need to put my health first, I've got to step out of that. And so that was really, really hard to do. But as soon as I like made that decision and then woke up the next morning, it felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. It was 100% the right decision to make.
Right. Yeah. No, I know that's a super, super hard decision. And I don't know if I ever, um, sent you like a message really honoring and congratulating you for making that decision to prioritize your health, but it's so important you did because getting you healthy is way, way more important than maybe getting a plastic trophy.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. The stage will always be there. Competitors will always be there, but your health will not always be there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, in just a short period of time, I feel like a completely different person. So, I mean, I ended up it's been a number of different things that my doctor put me on, but I mean, I'm maybe 2.5 months into it. Couple different, I mean, different doses, and we've played around with stuff. My doctor's been really diligent. It's been a really great experience. But like, I feel already like a different person.
Yeah. No, it makes a huge difference. And something fun you'll find out as you get older and continue in this journey is your doses now aren't always going to work. So you'll go through some times where you feel like garbage again, and then it's really with what I've discovered with HRT and competing, it's having a really, really good practitioner on your side that listens to you and will retest and help you get the right dosage again, because you will have times where you need more or you need less.
Yeah, yeah. She's already got me set up for blood work in November. She's like, we're gonna do it every 3 months. I was like, great. I love
Excellent.
it.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in a good spot. So yeah. But
Excellent.
it's hard. It's definitely difficult. I don't know how women, I feel like I'm maybe on the younger side to experience all of the things that I was experienced, maybe not,
I don't know.
but I don't know how women do that. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how all of these natural competitors do that when they get into these ages, and everything that impacts everybody differently, I'm sure. But just the night and day difference that I feel, it was definitely the
Yeah.
right decision.
Yeah. No, I don't know that you're younger. I think I was 37 when I went on. So,
Okay.
yeah. I think it just depends. I know my life leading up to that was super stressful and I never ate enough. So I'm sure that, had a ton to do with it. So background is always going to impact what your hormones look like.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's great that you pulled out. I think it's fantastic. You're feeling better and we're working back towards strength again.
Mhm.
Um, we did two shows. We did
Mhm.
the Conquer, which she won the whole show. Didn't you get like some 3-foot trophy or something?
I did it. It was ridiculous. We had to ship it back to the house because I didn't know how to do it. We had to spend, it was like $200 to ship it.
Ship it. Oh my God.
It was ridiculously big, but but it was fun. It was definitely fun to win that. So yeah, it was the OCB Conquer in Baltimore, and then I did the NFF, which is Natural Fit Federation Physique Showdown. I think
Oh
was the
yeah,
one it's called
I think so.
in April.
Right, right. So those two were pretty close together, and I think we stacked them pretty good. It was just there was such a long time, and maybe, maybe we could have went, but I really believe that when we come out of prep and then we give our body like some break, like the cardio goes down, the lifting goes down, the carbs go up, the fats go up, and it's almost like that in itself is another stress on the body because it's gotten used to operating on lower calories, higher training, and so it's managing, but then we start doing things that should be helpful. But often what I've seen is that even though it's helpful and they're healthy things, it is yet another stress on the body.
Yeah, yeah. The hardest part, I think, for me, and in all of, I mean, in the three preps I've done and coming off, is the like that post show hunger when
Mhm.
you're adding in calories. Okay, you're trying to stay consistent, you're trying to do all of the right things, but you get this. It's like that ghrelin response and the leptin response, and your body trying to like fill back up. It like it's like a little monster in your body that's just like, feed me. And it's like, I can't eat another bowl of cereal. I'm not supposed to do it, but you also it's almost like an outer body experience. And it's like it's really, really hard. And that's been for me, I think the hardest part of any of the preps is like that post-show phase of
Mhm.
getting back to like healthy levels of body fat and getting to like a good level in your body. Um, that's always been my biggest struggle.
Oh, yeah. I think that's probably everybody's biggest struggle, to be perfectly honest. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're hungry. You are so hungry.
Yeah. And without like the, or I'll do this in 2 weeks kind of
Right.
thing with you don't have, a time frame staring you in the face.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like there's a consequence to it. And of course there's consequences, but it doesn't feel like there's an immediate consequence. It's like,
Right.
I'll deal with that later. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Or what does it mean? I'm going to be a little bit fluffier for a little bit. Who cares? Right? Like you don't care about it at that point anymore.
Right, right. No, that's so completely true. So what have you found to be like helpful? Because I know you don't go completely off the rails. Like I have the ability to know that you don't. Um, so, but what have you found to be like the most helpful to keep you, if not 100% dialed in, at least, not eating the whole box of cereal, which I've totally
Um,
done.
I've eaten a box of two or three. It's having the support though.
Yeah.
With my husband, he started competing last year too. So it's like, so he's experienced a prep and that hunger level. And then what I did for him is what I needed him to do for me.
Mhm.
And when it got to a point where I had said to him at one point, like, you need to stop. Like you need to put it down. You need to stop. You need to step away. And that's what I needed from him, is just helping me when I'm in that, when I'm in a place where like I can't step away or I can't see that, like you just need somebody to like be there and hold your hand. And I know, so you're like text me. I'm like, I don't want to text you because I know what you're gonna tell me and I don't wanna. But having him, like, he lives here, he
Right.
sees it. I'm like, you gotta just tell me to stop. And that's it. And then you'll help bring me around. So having the support system that like understands it is incredibly helpful.
Right. Yes, I'm sure. I don't know like how many of our listeners would have that though. Like it's not super common to have, the husband and wife both competing. It's
Yeah. But to have a support, if you don't live alone or you have a spouse or somebody with you, just to communicate, hey, we're going to go into this. And on the other side, it's going to be really difficult for me. I need you to help keep me in check.
Mhm.
And that's all. He's experienced me doing it to him. So he jokingly will yell at me and be like, hey, stop it. Um, but I think just having that support and somebody to be that conscience for you when you can't be that for yourself, is very valuable.
Right. 100%. I would have to agree. And then too, like it helps, and some of the food we have is, always going to be dictated by the other people that live with us, but
Mhm.
minimizing to the amount of things that we're buying that we know we could potentially overeat on can be helpful too.
That is true. That's a good thing. My daughter was very sad that Costco no longer carries her snacks that she raised because I can't help myself if there's like a bag of granola is
Oh God, that's my worst thing.
like it's just so good and I love it. And she's like, Mom, why don't does Costco not have the granola anymore? I'm like, no, I don't know. Because it's like if I buy it and it's in the house,
Mhm.
then I'm gonna want it. So yeah, I have to buy them things that aren't appealing to me or things like I can't eat, and then that's helpful.
Right. That is so true. And I think, another tool that can be useful sometimes is just changing the environment. Like,
Mhm.
if you're prone to overeating in the evenings, like go for a walk or go in a different room even. Find another activity that you can do that's not eating.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Keeping busy is very helpful.
Yeah.
If my day is filled up, I don't think about
Oh yeah.
how hungry am I? Should I do, it's just so much easier.
Mhm.
So keep your mind busy, keep yourself busy, find an activity or whatever that's going to keep your hands busy, I think is really helpful too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, hey, something I thought was really cool because I messaged you. I forget, it was probably the NFF show, and you said everyone was with you, and so you took your husband and both your kids and everything, and everyone went with you, and I thought that was really cool. So you
Yeah,
guys do all of your shows together?
all of them. They've never not come to one of my shows. My husband's competed once so far, and like we all go. Um, so it's like it's not even a thought that they wouldn't go. So yeah, we always pack up in the car together. They know like they're pretty solid on like what happens like the day before show. Mom's just gonna hole up in the hotel room and watch TV. So I think for the NFF show, we binge watched like all of Young Sheldon together, like me and my kids. We make sure we were at a hotel that had like a pool so they could go like do something, but they know it's like, okay, this is like chill day. Um, and it's like they're excited and then they do so good, like just being part of it. Even with like the longer shows when it's like an NPC show and you're there for like because
Yeah.
they're bigger, so you're just there for a lot longer period of time like they've got like little game things or whatever to keep them busy. And then my kids are 13 and 10. But even when my son was, maybe he was like 6, I think my first show, it's like
Mhm.
they're really good about recognizing, all right, mom's on stage, we're gonna scream, take pictures, all that kind of stuff. And then they're just like they're really good about just being there and being present and not being like super needy, I guess. But yeah, they always
That
show.
is amazing. I think that's super, super special. I don't think that would have been my my experience if my kids are there. But I have four. And so that's a little different, I think.
It's twice as many.
Yes, yes. And there's a lot of dynamics between the age group.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun that they're there and then like I see them.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then my favorite is always like watching like like their cell phone videos or what, because I can hear them talking to each other and that's always really special.
Oh, it is. How precious.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I do. I think it's super special. All right. So let's see. We've covered NFF, we've covered OCB. Um,
Mhm.
Oh, something that might be interesting to touch on. So, what would you describe as the differences between NFF and OCB? They're both natural federations, which
Mhm.
to know. And most people need to also understand that if you are taking hormone replacement therapy, you cannot do a natural show. But what other differences is there between those two federations?
So NFF is smaller, where OCB is national. Like they're all like I think there's something in like every state for OCB. They're much bigger. I don't know if they're international, but they're all over the place. NFF is so I'm in Texas. They've got shows in Texas, I think like Louisiana, Colorado. They're very like this region, kind of how think like USBF is more like Midwest, is like where like a lot of their stuff is like very regional. So it's kind of frustrating, I think, with some of the natural federations that some of them are like very regional. There's a lot of them, and they all kind of have different rules. Um, I know for OCB, for example, as a woman, you can be like on estrogen and progesterone, but for none of them can you be on testosterone, even at like therapeutic levels, because that's technically an anabolic, right?
Mhm.
But like with any of them, you can't even use like peptide therapies for like healing and stuff like that. So if you've done any of that kind of stuff, like you're out. But NFF is just, it's smaller. So when I competed with them in 2023, I think there was maybe like 10-ish women between open and masters figure competitors. So it was a decent size. But then when I competed as a pro, there was only 3 women so it was me and two
Yeah.
other women that competed. So it was much smaller. Um, the people that run it are really great. They're like, it's just there, but there's a lot of the same people. So from what I see from like show to show, it's a lot of the same people that are competing over and over again. OCB is bigger. So, and then because they're all over the place, like I think the talent pool for each show is bigger,
Mhm.
um, where you're not getting like a lot of the same competitors overall. I think though with any of the I've done an OCB show each season I've competed. I've done an NFF show twice now. The biggest difference I think across the board, other than just like those two, like the two federations, is the promoter and who's putting it on. Like the OCB show that I did in 2023 was like a wildly ridiculous experience. Um, and I would not recommend. Whereas this one put on by these people in Baltimore was a phenomenal experience. So I think the promoter makes it more than the federation, really.
Oh, yeah, that's the same in NPC,
Yeah,
exactly same.
for sure.
Yeah. So when you're looking at competing, I mean, it's important to choose a show, that's going to be convenient for you as far as like your timeline goes. But it's also important to look at past shows, to look into who the promoter is. I know it can be harder to kind of dive in and hear other experiences, but there's so many groups on Facebook that I'm sure you could if you really want, if you really wanted to.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then also like the size of your shows makes a difference, right? Like I did the NPC show in 2023 that had like 700 plus competitors, and the whole day thinking like, oh my God, why did I do this? Like
Yeah, I know.
awful. You have like 2 seconds up on stage. So then it's kind of like, they all have a very different feel. But my husband did an NPC show last year, and the way that they broke it up, it was a really good experience. It's just everything's different. Um, but I think if you're natural, I think if anybody coming in as like a natural competitor, because there are so many different natural federations, like you get like USBF, OCB, PNB, there's a lot of alphabet. Try different ones. Try the different ones that are local to you, and then see what you like, because every federation's a little bit different with the way that they treat their athletes. Both of these are fantastic. Um, I had good experiences, but you just try them out and see what you like. I think the biggest difference is like the draw that they're going to get. So if you want to go up and compete against like a lot of people, the bigger federations I think are going to give you more people. If you don't want to compete against a lot of people, then I think there's the smaller ones. So just gotta try them out.
Right, right, that's true. And so just hopping back to the natural definition for just a
Mhm.
second. So when someone's competing natural, if they have, say that they have used peptide therapy or they were on TRT for a while, isn't it that you have to be clean for 7 years, like of no use before you're able to do a show?
I believe it is 7 years for some. So if you go, I'm just trying to think of like what the website looks like. So
Right.
OCB has their rules laid out like extensively. I think they're the best, easiest rules to read. There are some things that are 7 years. There's a couple of things that are 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then there's like a few things that are like you just can't be on this currently. But there's like different lists, and then they go by the World Anti-Doping Agency list for you can't be on any of these things, which a lot of the peptides and things like that are on that list. Um, but yeah, I don't remember if TRT was 7 years or 10 years, but it's a long time.
Yeah, I think that one was 7, but I would have to go back and look too because I don't.
Yeah.
I just had someone else start that she was all going to do OCB next year.
Mhm.
Um, and then she told me she was on testosterone. And I'm like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
sorry, you're not. We'll find a different show.
Yeah, and testosterone is off the table for any natural federation as a male or female. You just can't.
Right. Yeah. And I think that women just they don't understand because it's being prescribed in a, like you said, a therapeutic dose. So you would
Mhm.
think it should be okay, but it is not okay.
No, I think it's such a slippery slope, and I get it. I get it. And of course, being on like both sides of it, right? Like before going on it, it's just like, well, yeah, my testosterone's in the tank. So if we're competing as masters competitors, your testosterone's likely in the tank too. It's an even playing field, right?
Right.
I think that's the idea behind it.
Exactly.
So once you start doing it, my therapeutic dose might bring my levels up to, let's say, I don't know, like 50. Your
Hmm.
doctor might bring your therapeutic levels all the way up to like two, whatever. Like it's so across the board, and there's so much room for
Hmm.
advantages and disadvantages.
Yes.
Um, that I get it. It's just it's a safer, you can't do it. So I get it. I think there's tons of women I think would love a middle ground for women that are on, you know, therapeutic levels. Maybe they're doing some peptide therapy just to help them heal or recover or whatever, but they're not like abusing anabolics or going into the realm of like PEDs. I know
Right.
testosterone is technically an anabolic, but like anabolic levels of
Right. Right.
those kinds of
That's
things.
where the difference is because we're not
Yeah.
trying to have like 200, of testosterone. We just want to feel good.
Yeah. I just don't want to feel like a piece of shit all the time.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah, no, my hair didn't fall out with my hormones. I just felt awful. And like, I will ever, I think forever and ever stay in my mind that I was sitting on my bedroom floor, like attempting to get dressed, and I didn't even have enough energy to get dressed. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I feel totally and completely psychotic. And
Mhm.
and it was shortly after that I finally found a doctor that would listen to me. And she was like, "Oh, you don't have any testosterone." I'm like, "No,
Were you even on prep at that point, or was that just how you
no,
felt?
that was just daily life."
Yeah. Yeah. That's awful. I finally, before I found this doctor, I went through on like my notes app on my phone, and I just started
Mm,
writing down
good.
all of the things because I didn't want to forget, because it's like so easy to forget. Like brain fog
The
is one of
brain
them, right?
fog, exactly.
And
It's
like
real.
I brought up my phone. She's like, tell me like what's going on. And I was just like, okay, I feel it. And I had like 20 things listed out. And she immediately started laughing. She's like, you wrote it all down. I'm like, I wouldn't have remembered. She's like, that's one of them. That's one of them. But it's like it's all the pieces together. So it's like super low dose testosterone, progesterone. The estradiol patch was the last thing
Mhm.
that I started, and that made everything else just like click into place, because I was like kind of feeling okay with different things, but I'm like, I don't feel. I think I messaged you at one point. I'm like, when do you like feel great? Everyone says they feel great when they start doing these things. Like when am I supposed to feel great? But it wasn't until actually adding in the estradiol patch that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a new person. Like this is fantastic.
Right. Yeah, it's finding the missing piece, the right dose, and whatever is missing,
Yeah.
which sometimes is a hormone, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's another supplement. So
Yeah,
everybody is different, and what works for one person isn't necessarily the answer for another person.
exactly.
Oh, well, we've covered a lot of ground. Was there anything else you wanted to add to the conversation today, Alexis?
Oh, I don't know. No, I mean nothing off the top of my head now. Like I'm like, I don't know. Were there other things we want to talk about?
I know.
Um, no, I'm excited to continue to heal. So like the rest of my 2025 is like, all right, let's get all the hormones kind of evened out. Going into shoulder surgery in like a week from now, because it's just the year of like just fix it all, and like then it's in the past, and then I can start 2026 with like, okay, here's the newfound, we're good, and then we can grow, because then it's going to be, I'm not even considering stepping on stage again until 2027. So it's like I want to heal and then give myself time to grow, because now I've got to be competitive at the NPC level.
Welcome
And I
to
have a
the
little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, I just won pro shows, man, and now I got to start over here. And so like I've got to come out the gate swinging. So I've got a chip on my shoulder that I need to bring it when that happens. So I'm gonna hit 2026 real hard.
I think it's important to note that just, you have these hormone issues going on and you have upcoming shoulder surgery, but still you are prioritizing the off season. We are,
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah.
yeah, we have you back at pretty decent calories. Not quite where we were before, but they're still pretty high. And
There's room to grow.
yeah, we still got room. But and just because we have upcoming surgery doesn't mean we're taking, 8 weeks off. We're still lifting. We're still going to modify and we're still going to adapt. And you're still going to be working on your hormones and we're still going to be making sure that your gut is finally healed. And
Hmm.
and all these pieces happen in the off season.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Doctor said I can still do leg day. So we're still going to be at the gym 3 days a week. So we're we're still going to work on it.
Yes, I love it. And you have to take that time to grow and you have to take that time to build and you have to make sure that your hormones are dialed in because it's just prep is such a huge stress on the body. And because we deal with stress differently and we have more hormone variables, it just impacts us so much differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can attest from seeing it firsthand with watching my husband go through it. I'm like, why is this so much easier for you? Get out of here. This sucks.
I know, right?
So it's like, what? Yeah.
Yes, that's very true. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I truly appreciate it. I am really looking forward to this healing journey and our next in season whenever the time is right for that.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.